Good day to you. Today the Lord's word and vision comes at the point when a small company of people are hard pressed and surrounded, how the Lord ascends in the battle. And we take our word from Rephidim. And Israel was surrounded by Amalek, and then the strategy came that Moses' generation ascends into the place of ascension, keeping their face and hands upward to God. And Moses' generation has Aaron and Hur doing that. So since Moses lived 120 years, he was 80 years old at the time of Rephidim battle. That is 2/3. If we take it as we, in our time, 75 years is the life strength or the lifespan, then Moses would have been 50. So the 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds take battle upstairs, and then 2/3 of that would be about 28-year-olds taking battle downstairs. That is, the Joshua brigade was face to face at the forward defense line, and Moses and Aaron and Hur were in the supplies division, the Spirit of God supplying the heaven's supplies to the ongoing battle at the forward defense line. So if two generations work together, the senior generations behind the battle lines, supplying strategy, supplying encouragement, supplying heaven's supplies, and the next generation getting on, that's how we win the battle. So we are at a crunch time in USA, and then we expect the godly to win the battle. And then we stop the battle. What we do, we stop only when God writes Yahweh Nissi, and no one else can pronounce the victory. The Lord has to write Yahweh Nissi, the Lord our banner. And we have been in this situation before. For instance, when Sennacherib came against Hezekiah, insulting Hezekiah's God, Hezekiah had no other refuge. He went to the face of the Lord and said, "Oh Lord, hear the insults of Sennacherib." And when Jehoshaphat was surrounded by an army 20 times more than his, and it was in the valley of Bekah, and he led the troops in music and worship, praise to God, and the Bekah turned to a valley of Berakah, victory and praise. So this is our, this is our battle plan, this is our frame of reference today, how the Lord turns the battle at the gate at Rephidim. So here we read Exodus 17, then Amalek came and fought against Israel at Rephidim, probably because of the water supply. We know that water is very scarce in the desert, and chapter 17, first part, water came. And we also learn that they had dispute there. Israel started the dispute, but God told Moses to strike the rock and the water came. So when God's people start disputes and conflicts in two camps, as it has happened in the US election, two camps, one thinking one way, the other thinking the other way, or in any situation, God's people being in two camps in conflict is an invitation for Amalek to attack. Second invitation is there are stragglers who are going here and there, let's say a flock of 100, and the stragglers going here and there gives Amalek the scent, the thief, the enemy, to open a door through the stragglers, and one day the enemy gets bold enough to do a frontal assault. Then we have to hold ground, some atop Rephidim and some at the ground level during the battle. So that's the context for our battle lines and framework of reverence. So Exodus chapter 17, Amalek came and fought against Israel at Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, "Choose men for us and go out fight against Amalek. Tomorrow I will station myself on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." So Moses had already identified Joshua as the next generation leader, and he's encouraging Joshua to recruit others. That's the way to go. And so he says, my part is in the face of God, before God, and your part is down there. And it's the staff God in my hand, staff of God in my hand. And this is the same staff about which the Lord said, Moses was saying, I can't talk, I can't. And the Lord said in Exodus chapter 3, I am sending you. That's the important thing, not whether you can or you cannot. I am sending you. What is in your hand? So that was 40 years of faithful labor as Jethro's shepherd. His father-in-law, he kept Jethro's sheep. And in that faithfulness, God chose him to lead Israel. We know David kept his father's sheep. And about David it is said, with the integrity of his heart and the skillfulness of his hands, he looked after the sheep and God chose him. Similarly, God chose Moses and said, what is in your hand? The thing that he has been faithful with in the exercise he was given to do. Then God chooses you for the next and the next and the next, till the good gift in you goes to the highest that God had for you in his service, in his call. So choose men for us, go fight against Amalek. Joshua did as Moses told him. So that's how two generations work together. Joshua said as Moses told him. So we know the generational conflict in the church that has weakened the church. Very rarely that the pioneer could hand it over to the next generation and run together, coach together. Either the pioneer is tardy and he's not giving it over, or else the next generation gets impatient and they leave one by one. This is a tragedy. If Moses and Joshua can work together, any Rephidim will fall. Will you say amen to that? So this is a time when the end time battle lines are drawn. It is important to see a first generation and another generation. So the 60-year-olds working with the 40-year-olds, the Xillenials, who are the bridge generation, to get the 30-year-olds in. I call them Xillenials. And the 20-year-olds, I call them Xillenials, all working together. And fought against Amalek, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. So it came about when Moses held his hands up that Israel prevailed. Hands down, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy. Then they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, and Aaron and Hur supported his hands. So very, very good role modeling of how that generational leaders were working. Hands were steady until the sun went down. So Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. So Joshua and his generation were doing what they were called to do. I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek. Moses built an altar and named it, "The Lord is my banner." So be it Sennacherib and Hezekiah, Jehoshaphat and the army that came against him, or in this situation at Rephidim, Lord has to write, "Lord is my banner." That is the victory. This is what we expect in the American election or in our COVID battles in our nations. And we need to know the Amalek army is getting hostile, getting frontal, because they have gathered strength because of stragglers getting small victories over believers and churches and servants of God. Many places it's reported moral failure and whatnot, Amalek striking. And then the division between two generations not sticking together. These are the things we need to get right, so that two generations will work together, and we will not allow suddenly the Amalek to steal away good men, good women, but we will stick together. God bless you in this advance, and we don't give up. Third point is that we don't put our hands down. We keep our hands though and keep prayer going, prophecy going, intercession going. We keep the most holy place burning bright with the Shekinah glory of God. We keep the holy place going on with the lampstand, with the golden altar of incense and the bread of His presence. And then in the outer court, there are battles going on. So each team is doing their part, just like a rugby match maybe. And then God gets the victory. May the Lord give us the victory. Those who must, that percentage that have to keep heaven open, heaven's supply lines, and the forward defense line at the battlefront, this is the way we gain the victory, and God rise, Yahweh, Nissi, over every one of our cities. The Lord our banner, the Lord our banner, the Lord our victory. And we know from 1 John 5:7, faith is the victory that overcomes the world. Faith is the victory that overcomes the world. God bless you.